Hi everyone, this is my painting of Robert Pattinson as the new 2021 Batman. I started off with a blue layer sketch, then I switched that blue color into a darker gray color. Then I started adding in the highlights and the darker colors that I can see from the reference image. At this stage, it's just a blocking out of the highlights and shadows. And then once I'm satisfied, I finally go in, like you can see in the eye area, and start fleshing out more of the details. When it comes to the eyes, I usually go from one eye to the other eye. I don't jump around a lot. I try to get one eye looking as perfect as I can before going into the other eye. Right now, most of the painting is being done under this sketch layer. The eyes look kind of wonky right now, so you can see I'll shift it right there. Once I'm satisfied with the eyes, I start adding in more details around the face. At this point, I just sort of jump around and add in details wherever I want. I am only focusing on the black and white values of the image. So I try my best to see the reference image only in black and white to achieve this. If you want to do this properly, I suggest you turn the saturation of your reference image all the way down to turn it into a grayscale image, so you can focus solely on the values of the images. Here what I did was, because I was using my iPad, I could turn the screen to grayscale. So you can see the image itself is still colored, but when I was drawing, I had it in grayscale. I am not using any smudge tools. I am just using a brush with opacity enabled. So this right here is the exact brush I use inside Procreate. Here you can see the settings for yourself. I'm pretty sure every single art program has this basic brush. You can just look around and see this brush on whatever program you're using. You can pause the video and check the settings on screen if you want. So basically what I do is I just color pick the highlights or the shadows, like a dark or white color, and then I sort of lightly brush over the parts I want to incorporate that color into. If you're wondering about my basic approach to shading, I usually just imagine a 3D form. So for example, here I'm showing you a rectangular prism that I imagine makes up the nose. So I just kind of use that to know where my highlights and my shadows go. I don't usually draw it out like this, but I sort of just imagine it in my head, and then I kind of follow that for example, the face. I use like an oval, and each part of the body there's some kind of basic form that you can use. Here I am just now adding in the details. So for example, some highlights in the beard, some loose hair strands, highlights in the eyes, for example. Then I'm adding in his suit and more shadows. So it's just a back and forth of adding in the details. So now I am finally flipping my canvas. I know I should have done this before, but I'm flipping it, and I'm using the liquify tool as I'm showing here to sort of correct my proportions. So usually if the liquify brush is big, you kind of shift a huge chunk of the face, but if it's a smaller brush or shape, it'll move a smaller part of the face. So I just use that. Another method I usually use is I sort of just cut the parts that I think are not in the right position and just sort of shift it to the right position. And then now I'm adding in the final details. So just like some of the wrinkles, some more shadows, some more highlights. I think I added in some shadows underneath the eyes as well. It's very important, and I sometimes forget to add shadows under there. At this point, I'm just adding in really tiny details in the hair, just flyaway hair. And now I think I'm going into the highlights. So I add the highlights in on a separate layer first and sort of erase them out. If you want a tutorial on exactly how I do it, I can do that in another video. And now I'm adding in the strands of hair that sort of catch the light. Around this point, I also noticed his lips are wide apart, so I'm shifting those in. Add highlights in the lip area as well, and in the eyes. He has really high cheekbones, so I make sure to add a lot of highlights there as well. I'm just adding in his suit and maybe more shadows underneath his neck to create more depth. And then I decided I should probably draw his mask on, his Batman mask. And so I looked up a reference on Google Images. So I'm just going along with that image and drawing in according to his facial features and structure. I think a huge part of drawing this suit is just knowing where the shadows and highlights go. I didn't really take time to sort of sketch the mask out or anything. You kind of just go along with the, drawing out the highlights and the shadows, and it just works. So I really like this style of painting for this reason. Sometimes I think sketching adds an extra step to painting itself, so I just go ahead and use shapes and forms for the shadows and highlights. So I like this more moody tone that I've given him. It works very well. And here you can see it's the final result. And yeah, I hope you like it. If anyone has any questions or inquiries that you want me to answer, just leave them in the comments below. If you have any requests for a video in the future that you'd like me to make, maybe a tutorial, maybe a fan art, just leave it in the comments below. Or message me on my Instagram, then I will try my best to get to it. Thank you very much for watching.